Hello everyone, this is Aneel Khowaja, Registered Migration Agent and co-founder of ThinkAir Consultants and pdclasses.com. New South Wales, as we have advised, have opened up their skill migration plan now, and they have given their updated policy details of whatever the requirements for 491 and 190 visa nominations. The good part is that New South Wales list and the regional lists are pretty much similar like it used to be, but there are a few changes in 491 which we would be discussing. So I'll make this video very quick and interesting, so at least you can run through the things quite easily. The New South Wales list for the 190 is pretty straightforward. There's nothing much, not many occupations they have listed, so it's pretty much the same like the last year. Requirements are pretty easy. You must be in New South Wales residing. Okay, so there are three pathways they have given for 190. One is you must be working in New South Wales in the nominated occupation, so you don't need to meet the minimum like 3 months or 6 months residential requirement. You just currently go to New South Wales, start working in nominated occupation, and that's it. The second is residing in New South Wales and have continued to reside in New South Wales a minimum period of 6 months. For that, you don't need to work. So that is the residential requirements, that the work requirement is not there. You only need to be in New South Wales for 6 months. Or third is residing offshore, which is for offshore and continues to reside offshore minimum period of 6 months. So even you are onshore but you have gone to offshore, you can still apply, but you need to be in outside Australia for 6 months minimum. The requirements to apply is pretty easy. There is no ROIs anything for 190. You just need to check the eligibility and then apply, submit an EOI. That's it. Once the invitation round would happen, they will invite accordingly, and then you have to submit the documents. So this is pretty much easy for 190, and I believe that lots of people would be eligible for 190. My clients have already lodged in EOIs for New South Wales because we already have done it. So there is no new EOIs you need to lodge. The old EOIs will remain same, which are valid. So just check. It's subject to the validity, so you need to make sure the EOIs are valid. Then they have a state migration plan for 491. So pathways are pretty interesting. Again, three pathways. They closed down the pathway one quite earlier last year, but they have just opened up. So three pathways are there. Pathway one is if you're currently employed in New South Wales with a regional New South Wales employer, then be invited by the investment New South Wales. So there, and then again, if you have recently graduated from the regional New South Wales, so three again same pathways. Requirements to lodge the application is pretty same. You have to lodge an EUI until and unless you falls under the pathway one. So pathway one has some concession. We'll discuss about this one. So let's run through the all pathways so everybody is on the same page. Pathway one, if you're currently employed with the regional New South Wales employer, you have your skill employment been assessed as well. So obviously you need to make sure that at least you have assessed your skill along with your qualification. This is very important for New South Wales, and they want you to work with minimum 6 months criteria. So 6 months criteria for the pathway one with the same regional New South Wales employer. So your employer must be in the New South Wales region and paid minimum TSMIT 76,515. So you have your employer must be paying that one. So that's very important. We'll be running through the common questions of this skill list later in our video. So you have to watch the complete video in order to have more, relatable FAQs which New South Wales are given, and we'll discuss on this one. But pathway one is quite pretty easier. Then pathway two is be invited to apply for new. So it's pretty easy. You lodge an EOI. Your occupation needs to be in a regional skill list, which I told you it hasn't changed much. So you need to check your occupation in there, and then wait for New South Wales to invite you. So what are the criteria? Working in New South Wales, similar like 190. Continue residing in New South Wales minimum 6 months, so 3 months, that's or. So out of three, you have to meet one. First one is working in New South Wales, anywhere in New South Wales. It doesn't need to be regional one. Residing in New South Wales and continue to reside in New South Wales for a minimum period of 3 months, or residing offshore, minimum period of 3 months. So if you are outside the country for 3 months, whereas you were earlier onshore, doesn't matter. You need to be offshore for minimum 3 months. Now, pathway three is for graduates you have studied in regional New South Wales institution. You must need to complete 2 years of study. Obviously, you need to qualify for the regional points as well. So they will check your EY that whether you have claimed those 5 additional points for the regional study or not. And additionally, you must be skilled in an occupation that is NSCO identify in the regional skill list. So you need to be working in a regional skill list as well. Obviously, your visa needs to be eligible to apply. Residential requirements are pretty easy. If you're working in the regional skill list, then you don't need to worry about the residential requirement. If you are not, then minimum 3 months of residential, or if you're offshore, minimum 3 months of outside the Australia, you need to be residing. Now, Pathway 1 has few concessions. So, TSMIT or CSIT concessions are there. The first concession is the business must demonstrate that application annual monetary earning is at least 90% of TSMIT. So, employer can apply a separate application. They will open up a link where employer can apply for a separate application for concession, but their employer must need to be paying at least 90% of the TSMIT. So, if your salaries are lesser, still 90% of the salary needs to be paid. Additionally, total earnings must meet the applicable industrial award. So if you have a specific award, then you have to meet that one. So if the award is more than TSMIT, then you have to meet. So that is pretty straightforward. Type 2 concession is business must demonstrate the applicant's earnings are at least 90% of TSMIT, pretty much the same. Non-monetary earnings like food, commissions, or giving the living expense and all those stuff must not exceed 10% of TSMIT. So if they're paying the food or any other loadings and all, that should not be more than 10% of TSMIT. Otherwise, they will not consider. So you have to minus 10% and see if it's 90% of TSMIT or not. This is how it's going to work it out. Now, not all occupations are eligible for this one. So only these occupations which are eligible for these two concessions are cafe restaurant manager, medical laboratory scientist, agriculture technician, pharmacy technician, motor mechanic, panel beater, vehicle painter, stonemason, pastry cook, butcher, or small good maker, cook, veterinary nurse, or residential care officer. These are the only occupations which are eligible for these concessions, the type 1 and type 2 concessions. Now, the application is pretty straightforward. You need to lodge an EOI and wait for them to invite you. Pretty much straightforward. There is no ROIs or nothing like this being given, which is pretty good. Okay, so that this way you don't need to then go with ROIs and wait for the application to be open, but your employer needs to make sure that they are applying for concession if they fall under these occupations. Now, commonly asked questions are on the New South Wales website, so you can run through it. If you want, my team can send the link into the comment box or on the video, so you can run through their nominated, the FAQs. That makes things easier for you to understand if you have more questions. Otherwise, shoot us email or put comments in the comment box. My team is more than happy to reply you. We try to reply you as much as we could rather than we write that you inbox us or something. We need to be very transparent. We need to educate you. So like, share, and comment on this video, because one share can change life of others, and the blessings or the good work which you will be doing for in other lives will benefit you. And I hope that you also get the Australian PR and citizen if you're waiting for it. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.